Welcome back, dear viewers. Of course, in this segment, dear viewers, cinema will remain always the truest and the most real archive of history. As we commemorate the Sinai Liberation anniversary, we cannot forget the filmmakers that presented many movies that portrayed the victories that changed both Egyptian and international history at that time. Cinema played a great role in monitoring and documenting these magnificent moments. Dear viewers, of course, as today we celebrate Sinai Liberation, it's very important, of course, in this context to discuss cinema and the history of Egypt that we turned into cinema that we watch till today. And the films that, of course, every single anniversary of the Sinai Liberation we screen on TV or cinema. We always watch these movies and we never hesitate to watch them each and every year as we go on. And today is a very special day, and we have with us our prominent guest, Assistant Professor Dr. Mariam, which is a doctor at the Faculty of Economics and Political Science, Cairo University, to tell us more about a very special day, to talk to us about the special day and the history of cinema in relation to this very special day. Doctor?
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be with you today, talking about a very important moment in Egyptian history, about the Sinai liberation. Sinai, of course, is a religious land in Egypt. It's a divine land. It's the land of turquoise, or Ard al-Fayruz as we call it. It's a very dear part of Egypt, and I'm very happy to be talking about cinema and how it portrayed all the victory that happened in the 6th of October war, and how we were able to restore Sinai through diplomatic efforts after the war.
Perfect. Doctor, do you want to tell us more about Sinai Liberation before we move in depth into the films and the movies and the history of cinema in relation to Sinai Liberation?
Yes, of course. So after the 6th of October war, we were able to restore a very big part of Sinai, but not all of Sinai. So afterwards, Sadat was the man of peace and war. So after the success and the victory in the 6th of October war, we were able also to restore the rest of parts of Sinai through diplomatic efforts, and also through different talks and through arbitration, finally, through Taba in 1989. So that was a very long effort, and we were able to restore Sinai through all of these efforts. And actually, in 1989, we were able to bring or restore Taba back through arbitration, and this case of Taba's arbitration is still studied all over the world. So you'll find in different books, in Oxford University books and Cambridge University books, Taba's case is still a very important case in how we were able to restore Taba through the case of arbitration as well.
How can we relate this very special occasion, which takes place on the 25th of this month, of course, to what's happening in Gaza nowadays?
Yes, of course. So it was a very dear part of Egypt, and in films as well, we will see that the battles and the victory and courage of Egypt to restore Sinai back was there in cinema. And if we would talk also about cinema, for example, and Palestine, we will see a lot of movies talking about the Palestinian land and how there were support of the Egyptian people to the Palestinians all over history, and support of Palestinian people's demands of being in their homeland and to end the occupation. So we will see this in a lot of movies.
How do you see and read the idea as we celebrate this the liberation of Sinai, versing, of course, the securing of Sinai at this point when the Palestinian and the Gaza Strip is in, of course, a horrible, of course, war, and what's happening over there, of course, is a genocide. How do you read this, Dr. Marwa?
Yes.
Dr. Mariam, sorry.
of course, there are horrible massacres taking place, and there was no enough humanitarian aid getting into Gaza. So, of course, it's related, and also that people in Gaza, Palestinian people in Gaza, don't want to leave their homeland at any price. So there also a lot of diplomatic effort by the Egyptian government in order to support the two-state solution in Palestine and to end these massacres.
Hope that ends soon. How far does the silver screen was it able to feature of course, the March of Restoring Sinai as it expanded from 1976 to 1982?
There were a lot of movies that were actually done and produced during the war and after the war. There were movies also that portrayed the war of attrition since 1967 till 1973. There was a lot of those movies like A Song on the Passage, أغنية على الممر. It's a very interesting movie, and we still remember the songs that were sung by the soldiers during this very important battle in Egyptian history, the war of attrition, and all the battles that took place at that time. Also, The Road to Eilat, that's also a very nice movie talking about famous battles and talking about the resilience of Egyptian soldiers during these battles. Also, there were other movies like Sons of Silence, other movies like Life is a Moment, talking about the just going to the front and speaking to soldiers to listen to what their aims and aspirations, because all of what they wanted was to restore Sinai back, and that no single inch would not be part of the Egyptian land.
Okay, what are, in your own opinion, Doctor, are the movies that succeeded in sending a real image to this era specifically?
So we have different movies, and there was a movie that was produced recently in 2019 called El Mamar, The Passage, also talking about the war of attrition. And these movies are very crucial and very important to be produced to talk about and to document the battles and the courage of soldiers during all these battles and how they were able to restore our land back. Talking also, some of the movies also talk about the soldiers, their daily life, or how they were able to get trained during the battles and to support each other, like for example The Song on the Passage. And even during times where was after 1967 defeat, there were a bit of like that it's a kind of loss of some part of land, but still we were able to regain our land back. So how to move on from this kind of defeat to victory was widely framed in a lot of movies.
Dr. Mariam, how can we focus on the accomplishments that, of course, Egypt achieved on this very special day, which is the day of the Sinai Liberation? For every single individual in this country, the 110 million citizens that we do have, to know and to know very well and to be very aware of everything that's happening that happened at that time. In which way can we focus to reach every single and hit every single individual through cinema or through, of course, series or through TV, to make it out and loud to everybody, even globally, not only in Egypt, because this is a great accomplishment that we can never deny for every single Egyptian, and as a pride for every single Egyptian on top of all those that fought this very important war.
Of course, there were a lot of movies actually produced about a lot of battles that took place since 1967 till 1973, and a lot were produced in the aftermath of 1973, talking about Sinai specifically and talking about this precious part of Egypt and the divine land. And I would recommend that maybe I saw a documentary about the restoration of Taba in 1989, but I would like to see this in a long feature movie talking about how we restored it through international arbitration, because this case is widely studied in textbooks, but I would like to see it also on screen, on the silver screen.
Dr. Mariam, by default you're an intellectual person because you're a doctor in faculty of economics and economics.
Yes.
What I'm trying to reach now is those that don't even care to read, but they have to understand what happened.
Yes. Yes. So, any the great historic events that took place along history, we can read them in textbooks, but we also would like to watch them on the silver screen, because we can see like battles like Dunkirk movie about the World War battles. So this we can study it in class at universities, but when it is portrayed on screen, the masses and all the people watch it, even children watch it. Like, for example, I've also recently watched Oppenheimer movie of all the battles that took place in history, about also autobiographies. I remember when I was a child, I watched Sadat movie. So we can read about Sadat's life, we can listen to his speeches, but when we see it on the silver screen, this is more attractive to youth, and even we remember the different scenes of and the historic events that are reflected by the details. We can remember them more also because this is an audiovisual medium that is very effective.
Dr. Mariam Waheed, assistant professor at the Faculty of Economics and Political Science at Harvard University. Thank you very much for your insight. Thank you very much for your informative knowledge. Thank you very much for celebrating this very important day, celebrating, of course, the Sinai Liberation Day with us and adding to us and to Egyptian cinema and Egyptian history a lot today. Thank you very much for always being with us, our distinguished guests.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Stay tuned. I'll be back again.